begin our understanding of insurance markets, which is the subject of Chapter 7 that I did not have you read, but that it's really important to understand some basics out of that chapter before moving forward, to understand problems relating to asymmetric information. Anyway, we live in this world not of certainty, but of chance. So all sorts of outcomes around us are determined by just luck. And this is true for if you're a business person and just go to Shakespeare, Merchant of Venice, investing in a fleet of ships to bring goods in from the east. And does that ship hit a storm and get sunk, or does it make it home safely? Does the cargo rot? Anyway, there's all sorts of chance that can affect our outcomes quite dramatically. And of course, in health, as I cough here, in health, this is very much true. Do we get cancer? Do we not get cancer? Do we break our leg? Do we not break our leg? Do we get hit by the bus? And returning to my favorite example, there's chance all around us, and given the huge expense of treating health issues, whether they're cancer or a broken back, we as humans have an aversion to living exposed to that extreme risk. So fortunately, through markets, we can do something about that, in particular through insurance markets. So let's get started on this. I have this picture of two dice, and imagine just if we, sort of a nice image to think about chance. There's some gods, if you will, up there rolling dice, and as the dice roll, so our lives are decided. And of course, it's much less personal, but nevertheless, the random forces are all around us and determine our fate to a large degree, especially in matters related to health. So the way we deal with this, remember, we have at the root of our thinking about how people make economic choices, we think about them making choices. Well, if the benefits are greater than the costs, then do it, otherwise don't. Well, if you have uncertain benefits, uncertain costs, how do you proceed? Do you just flip your own coin, or is there something you can do about it? And we make our best guesses, and the way we quantify what our best guess is through this notion of the expected value of a random variable. And this is random variable x. And it's the sum, I could read you the definition, you can read it yourself. That's the sum of all possible outcomes of x weighted by each outcome's probability. And they give you a bunch of possible states: x equals x1, x equals x2, x equals x3, on up to x equals xn. And then they have probabilities associated with each of those states. Then the expected value of x is equal to the probability of x1, the state x1 being realized, times the value of state x1 plus the probability of x2 times the value of x2 plus the probability of x3 times the value of x3, all the way up to the probability of outcome n times the value of outcome n. And that's the expected value in a nutshell. And let's think about an example. Let's suppose that the state of our health is determined by the roll of a die. A six-sided die with one pip on one face, two pips on another, etc., all the way up to 6. State determined by die. Oops. My inner dyslexic is coming out. Die. Roll. And let's further suppose that if a 6 is rolled, we are sick. Otherwise, we are well. And then what's more, let's say we're a Uber cab driver, and our income, if we're well, is, let's just say it's $200. It's a day's taxi net income. But our income, if we're sick, we'll call that I sub S. Income well is I sub W. That's a W. Income sick is if we're sick. Let's say we can't drive if we're sick. Uber regulations prohibit that. So we miss a day's work. We have no sick days. We're self-employed entrepreneurs. So there it is. So what would be the expected income of a workday? And this will be this variable I. Well, by the information above, it would be the probability of being well times the income that we would earn if we're well, plus the probability that we're sick times the income that we would earn if we're sick. And since we're well, a 6 rolls with 1/6 probability. The probability that we don't roll a 6 is 5/6, 1 minus 1/6. So it's 5/6 times 200 plus 1/6 times 0. And of course, we don't have to really write out 1/6 times 0. It's 0, but just for this first case, I wanted to be complete about that. And as you probably anticipated, type in your calculators at home. 5/6 times 200 is equal to 166.67. So that's an example. You can make up a bunch of your own, and I heartily encourage you to do that. This is certainly something in the core of what I expect you to know